Now we'll concentrate on moving your clients to a critical step in the buying decision, telling you specifically what their needs are by completing the Personal Needs Analysis Worksheet. But first, let's take some time to talk about this next step, gathering information. Luckily, getting people to talk usually isn't hard. Most people like to talk about themselves. So to direct them through the buying process, all you have to do is ask the right questions. And remember, how you ask the questions is just as important as what questions you ask. So let's look at how you might do this.
If you were to suffer a premature death, would you want to provide enough money for your spouse and family to live mortgage-free?
Yes, that's something that's really important to me. Even though Melissa has some income with her part-time job, I'd really like to know that she and the kids could stay in the house.
Okay. Then what's the approximate balance on your mortgage right now?
Right now it's about $70,000.
Okay, Melissa. Now list that figure on the worksheet. Now, how important is a college education for your children?
To me, it's really important. I only had enough money to get through 2 years of college, and I think it's really affected my ability to find the job I'd prefer to have. I'd like to think that the kids would have the advantages I didn't, although I'd also like them to work for part of their tuition.
Well, right now the cost of a state university is about $10,000 per year. While we don't know how it will be 10 years from now when your son Ryan is ready for college, for right now, let's use the $10,000 figure for both he and your daughter Jennifer. So in the blank for college educations, let's fill in $80,000, which is 4 years at a state university for each of them. Okay, now let's move on to the next line. A lot of my clients also want to make some provision for what we might call readjustment funds for their family. How do you feel about that?
Oh boy, I really understand what that's all about. When Grandpa died last year, my grandma was in a real mess for months. They sealed up the lockbox where the bonds were, and she didn't have access to Grandpa's savings account. We were all happy to pitch in money to help her get by, but she sure could have used some emergency money to cover some expenses we didn't anticipate. I would never want that to happen to Melissa.
That was a tough time for Grandma, and I wouldn't want to repeat that experience. But how do you figure out how much to set aside for a time like that?
Good question, Melissa. It's been my experience that an amount equal to 2 months' income is usually about right. You'll need to enter that number right there.
As you can see, the agent here is not only asking some very effective questions, he's asking them very effectively. He does this by asking feeling questions. How do you feel about college educations for your children? How do you feel about having some money set aside for an emergency? By asking feeling questions, he gains both a clear idea of the financial position of his clients and also a lot of information about their goals and values. So now it's your turn. Using the binder, practice completing the Personal Needs Analysis Worksheet. And remember to use those feeling questions. Now that wasn't so hard, was it? By concentrating on feeling questions and listening to what the clients are telling you directly, and maybe sometimes even indirectly, you have helped your clients recognize a need to buy something, to provide the missing piece in their financial planning picture. The next step is easy then. You just happen to have some suggestions as to what they should buy. For most of us, the temptation at this point would be to launch right into a sales pitch about what product they should have and try to get them to sign on the dotted line as soon as possible. But if you did that now, you'd undo all the great groundwork you spent so much time laying up to this point. Instead, what you want to do now is offer them options. Remember, you aren't going to have to sell these people anything. They already know they need to buy something. The only question now is what? And you want to help them make the correct decisions. Let's see how that might be done.
If you're like most people, you've probably seen and heard literally hundreds of ads about life insurance, but you're still puzzled about what it is and what part it should play in your overall financial plan.
No kidding. It seems like every other day we get another piece of junk mail with all these charts saying we need this plan or that.
That's for sure. And then there are all of these guys on television. Every time I think I've figured it out, something else comes along, and their plan is supposed to be better than the last guy's. I can tell you, I'm plenty confused about this subject.
Well, that's not too surprising. I'm in this business, and I know that most companies make the idea of insurance much more complicated than it needs to be. No wonder everyone's puzzled about it. So, let me help you put the pieces of this puzzle together. You know, most life insurance really fits into one of two categories.
As you can see, our agent now has nearly concluded the sale. Yet he hasn't concentrated on selling much at all. So how did he do it? He listened well. He gave information. He helped the clients determine their personal financial needs. And he didn't pressure them to try to talk them into anything. You can do the same thing. If you follow your presentation, remember to ask feeling questions, and let the clients make all the choices, the sale will sell itself. The buyer will buy. This concludes the video portion of this training module. We hope it has helped you identify the key elements involved in helping your clients work through the steps which lead to a buying decision. The buying process. Create interest, seeking information, building trust, establishing needs awareness, sharing information, exploring solutions, making a decision. We're very excited about this presentation and wish you great success in using it. Your instructor will now work with you to practice what you've learned.